Hello again, I'm Jeff, and this is the last video in my series about 9 things I've learned about understanding the Bible in my years as a Christian. So I'd like to start with this number 7, ask questions. And this one may take a little bit of explanation. But one of the things I've learned is that many times when I'm going to the Bible, I'm looking for answers. But what I've learned is that sometimes it's hard to get answers until we start asking questions. And there are some standard questions that we can pretty much ask about any text. Who was the author? Who was the audience? What type of literature is it? Is it a psalm? Is it prophecy? Is it history? But where I think this really opens up and becomes valuable is when we start asking questions about the particular text that we're reading. And even if we're asking questions that are unanswerable, sometimes just the process of asking questions opens up the way for the Spirit to talk to me or to talk to you to help understand the passage. So an example of that, we've just passed Holy Week, and in there you have the story of the crucifixion. And a question that I've always found interesting, or have found interesting about the passage, is when Jesus is on the cross, he tells his disciple John to take his mother home and care for her, his mother Mary. Even though Jesus had other siblings, he asks John to take care of his mother. And John's gospel says that he did that. And one of the questions I have on that, besides the why question, is how did that impact John? Are there places in John's writings that we can see or hear Mary's voice and Mary's stories? So there are a lot of questions, even unanswerable, that I think are valuable to ask while we're studying. Number 8, again, might seem a little bit contradictory, but this is forget what you know, or maybe what you think you know. Unfortunately, there are things that we've learned in Sunday school, there are things we've learned in movies, read in books, fictionalized accounts of stories, and those stories have a place and they have some value. But one of the things that I've found is there are times that I have to forget what I know to allow the passage to open up and understand. And I have to intentionally sort through what are the things about the passage that somebody has taught me that maybe can't really be found in the passage, or that were read in a book or saw in a movie. So this is another thing that I have found useful. And the last actually doesn't really have much to do with understanding the Bible, but I think it's a valuable lesson, and that is approach the Bible with humility. Because in the end, the Bible is God's word. It is his way to speak to us, but his word tells us that he is so far above us. He is so high above us, and that we cannot possibly understand all of his ways. And so there are times in passages that I don't understand, and there are passages in the Bible I don't understand, that I've had to just finally admit that even after trying, after doing these other things, that the passage is not going to open up to me. And I believe that's God's way of reminding me of who he is and who I am. That I should not expect to understand everything he says and does, because he is God and we are not. And so the last thing I want to share with you is, as you go through and try to understand the Bible, we want to do the most we can to understand it, but we also need to remember who we are, and that sometimes God will not reveal something to us, probably because it's something we don't need at that moment, but he will withhold it. Thank you.